One of the things I've really appreciated over the years of going to Zimbabwe is what I feel is a very dynamic art movement. There's always changes happening in the way that the artists are treating the stone, and these three pieces are a really interesting example. This artist, Taylor Nkomo, he actually started out in fabric design, then moved into graphic design, and then into stone carving. And you see some wonderful things happening here where, you know, he polished this area and then scratched it afterwards. All three pieces have some additional stone in here. So this here is cobalt, which has been attached to the spring stone. And then this, it's not painted on, it's an inlay. So it's like a marquetry in stone. And you can really sense when you're looking at his work that he brings a different sensibility from his other art disciplines. This here is a dolomite that's been inserted into the stone as well, so you get this sort of, you know, the wonderful energy that comes from the eye here. And as one gets close to these sculptures, you really see he's working in about 5 different textures on this piece. Here again, these are 2 different stones that are here, and these sort of textural treatments of the stone here help to you know, to create sort of contrast and areas of interest, and those ways of treating the stones, they're all sort of part of what's been evolving in the last you know, I would say 15 to 17 years. So now you've got, you know, this is actually stone that hasn't been carved at all. It's raw stone, but he's decided to polish it. So I just find that incredibly interesting, and people look at Taylor's work and immediately say things like Picasso, you know, but of course, as we know very well, Picasso himself said he was very inspired by African art. So it's like, I mean, really, who cares where the chicken and the egg are? I mean, you just see this incredibly striking, very contemporary work coming from somebody who's bringing 3 disciplines to his art. So that's just one example. I mean, I find over the years when I'm traveling there, I'm always discovering new artists or new treatments of the stone, and I find that very exciting. It really shows this dynamism and energy in this art movement that, you know, is keeping it very much alive and interesting. These 2 sculptures by Sylvester Mubai, who's a contemporary really of Walter's father, he's still alive and carving, he's in his late 80s, are carved in verdite. And you know, part of what's so wonderful about these pieces, including just the form and the feeling of them, is this incredible stone, verdite, which now unfortunately the artists can only get in very, very small pieces. So the selection of stone, as I'm sure Walter told you, is such an important part of the creative process. And the artists in Zimbabwe have over 200 varieties of stone that they can carve in, which really is a sculptor's paradise. And because stone is a natural material, even one piece of verdite, as you're looking at these 2 pieces, is totally different. I mean, you've got this sort of wonderful browning area happening on the forehead of this boy hiding piece of Sylvester's, and then sort of some brilliant greens in Boy Dreaming. And you know, the stone excites the artist, gives them a sense of discovery as they're working with it, and then of course it excites us when we see the finished piece, because it's really, it really is part of the originality and the beauty of the piece. This sculpture here, Queen of Beauty by Brighton Layson, is, he's a new artist for me this year, very, very beautiful piece. And like so many of the sculptures that you see, there's such a tranquility and peacefulness, but also a huge amount of dignity to the work. You'll see in the entire collection that even though life is pretty tough for artists in Zimbabwe, nearly all the work is about the celebratory parts of life, about family. Women are a huge source of inspiration, perhaps largely because 90 to 95% of the artists in Zimbabwe, the sculptors, are men. But the other themes too are, you know, spiritual connections and connections to nature, birds, because birds are really seen as symbols of freedom. So despite everything that people are going through and some of the toughness, economic and otherwise, that they're dealing with, you never see that in the work, or very, very rarely. It's almost as though the creation of beauty like this piece is sort of a balm for their own soul and something that they want to share about what's really deep in their culture. And I find that really quite remarkable. I think we have so much to learn from cultures where in struggle they can create beauty and celebrate what's best in life. And Zimbabweans really, really are able to do that.